There could be a team overseas who would love to snatch Caitlin Clark away from us and give her a crazy offer.
What occurred in women's basketball is unbelievable. WNBA MVP A'ja Wilson is furious over Caitlin Clark's new European deal.
A'ja Wilson, the MVP of the WNBA, the greatest player in women's basketball that nobody cares about.
I don't want to be great for you guys.
It's a record-breaking offer that has everyone talking, so it's not just any contract. How did Wilson respond? Utter jealousy. This season has been the most challenging for A'ja Wilson. Caitlin Clark's appearance prevented her from receiving the credit she was due, which is evidence that her life is 10 times more difficult than it should be. I believe she has won the league's MVP award 3 times. She has a statue at the University of South Carolina and has won 2 titles. Have we not celebrated A'ja Wilson enough? Have you made her life 10 times more difficult? This is where things start to get interesting, though. Clark is altering the game in addition to increasing her income. Perhaps you're asking yourself, what's the big deal? Let me tell you, women's basketball may be entering a completely new era. She's not at all pleased about it, Wilson. She was caught on film lecturing, pointing fingers, and discussing her white privilege with Caitlin Clark. Okay, now let's discuss the true game changer, Caitlin Clark's salary in Europe. The contract we are dealing with is not your typical one. We are discussing a transaction that is breaking records and leaving basketball fans stunned. It appears that she will likely earn more money in the EuroLeague abroad than she did in the WNBA this season. You may be asking yourself, just how much are we actually discussing here? Prepare yourself, for you will be astounded by the figures. Clark will become the highest paid women's basketball player in the world thanks to her European contract. Indeed, not only in the WNBA, but globally as well, even more so than Diana Taurasi was when she played for Russia. Playing overseas during the offseason after playing in the regular season is not unusual for WNBA players. For as long as the WNBA this has been the case. There was also a year in 2015 when Diana Taurasi played in Russia instead of the WNBA. Furthermore, it was never explicitly said that she didn't play in the WNBA because Russia essentially had a clause in their contract that said she couldn't play there if she went. However, when Russia paid Diana Taurasi a salary of $1.5 million to play in Russia at the time, it was essentially what everyone believed had transpired. This offer is enormous, not just significant. We are discussing a contract that makes WNBA pay seem like pennies, and A'ja Wilson is furious for precisely that reason. Can you picture yourself in her position at this moment? You are the league's MVP and its public face, and all of a sudden this rookie starts earning more money than you have ever seen. I do not wish to be excellent for you all. I'm going to try my hardest to be the best when I go out there. The worst part is that Clark isn't just earning more money. The market is being totally redefined by her. The salary range for elite female basketball players is being raised by this contract. While everyone else is still catching up, she seems to be playing a completely separate game. There may be a future where more private-owned EuroLeague teams target some of our top WNBA players, given that players may profit from brand deals and other ventures and their fame is growing. Additionally, we might lose more players to playing abroad if the financial and commercial aspects make sense. Let's examine the numbers now. What is the typical WNBA salary? It is approximately $130,000, the maximum for the league, roughly $230,000. However, Clark, she might make millions from her European arrangement. We're discussing a deal that might be worth 10 times as much as WNBA MVP Wilson now earns. The commissioner informed her that she might earn $700,000 by marketing various products while playing in the WNBA. And even the best paid player in the WNBA presently earns just over $200,000. So I'm not sure what Kathy was referring to. Furthermore, I'm not sure what the WNBA does with their marketing budget, but it's not going to amount to $700,000. Isn't the disparity we're witnessing astounding? At the peak of her abilities, Wilson is witnessing a youngster emerge and drastically alter the financial landscape of women's basketball. She's obviously feeling the heat. I want to show some sympathy for MS Wilson, you know. After all, she was playing basketball for the first time in a long time, so the additional pressure of a much larger crowd undoubtedly had a role. But money isn't the only factor here. The pay inequalities in women's basketball are being brought to light by Clark's contract. Everyone is being forced to examine how we appreciate these athletes and their abilities. Additionally, it must feel like a slap in the face to athletes like Wilson who have been putting in years of hard work in the WNBA. I'll say it again, it's just another method to lower the bar. This is the motto of Kim Fuchs. Their true opinion of you is reflected in the criteria they set for you. They are not the same individuals as this generation. Our culture has softened, and I'm inclined to say that it's mostly the ladies based on the way I hear a lot of these people. Isn't this beneficial for women's basketball in general, you ask? You'd be correct, too. In the long term, it might raise wages generally. However, it is currently causing a rift. While Clark is profiting from her fame and skill, players like Wilson are feeling left behind in spite of their accomplishments. Crazy deal. She was going to receive $5 million from Ice Cube to play in fewer than 10 Big Three games after all. Thus, the funds are available, and I could definitely see more WNBA players traveling abroad and perhaps never coming back if these owners are wise with it. An MVP should be above small-time jealousy, right? Rethink your thought. Not only is A'ja Wilson's response to Caitlin Clark's contract unexpected, it's absolutely startling. Why would Wilson, a renowned athlete, feel so intimidated by a rookie's accomplishment? This way of thinking is beyond my comprehension. As you mentioned, it doesn't fit the times we live in, thus, I don't think it does. Additionally, it creates feelings of gratitude and envy in addition to victimization, which is, in my opinion, the worst thing. Because you are constantly repeating, well, if I were only white, I would be even further away. You are unable to express gratitude for where you are. Let's explore the drama that is developing. A'ja Wilson has served as the WNBA spokesperson, MVP, and Golden Girl. She isn't handling it well, though, as she watches Caitlin Clark alter the game overnight. Someone at the top of their game should be confident enough to dismiss the success of a beginner, wouldn't they? Wilson's response, however, conveys a completely different message. And in life, even though this may sound really audacious, your objective should be envy rather than sympathy. You're also correct that victimization is encouraged in contemporary culture. We also need to be twice as good or twice as better in terms of like. We're not merely referring to the occasional sarcastic remark. Wilson had really lost it. She has been tweeting passive-aggressively more frequently than she is making baskets. She is making crude remarks about Clark's achievements in interviews. It's similar to witnessing a boxing champion lose his temper because a rookie is receiving more attention. All but one of the Rookie of the Year votes went to Caitlin Clark. She won't be able to claim the title of unanimous Rookie of the Year, and that is being celebrated by many. They're thrilled. Stay strong, whatever it was, denied her that distinction and kept it real and blah, blah. This is where things start to get interesting, though. Wilson's anger isn't limited to the money. It must hurt to see Clark maybe make millions while she only gets a small portion of that. However, there's more going on here. It has to do with status. Legacy is at issue. The issue is who gets to represent women's basketball. Now, there ought to be a hashtag, put an end to hate in Asia. However, it's incredible. However, this is the issue that many people have with Caitlin Clark's friends and admirers. It doesn't appeal to them. Additionally, I will reiterate this point. The fact that some of the most ardent Caitlin Clark fans are non-white is one of the more intriguing features of this fandom. In reality, they are black men. That has turned into something that is problematic for them, Wilson has put forth a lot of effort to reach her current position, you see. Years of perseverance, striving to be the best, and bearing the weight of the WNBA. She's currently watching this college sensation steal the show. What does that feel like? The understudy receiving a standing ovation on their first night is like being the show's star after years of being the headliner. However, it is the problem. This is beyond my comprehension. Many of these people, such as Asians, are so accustomed to being able to impose and administer white guilt that they become unable of handling it when others don't comply. Actually, therefore, I think it's fascinating that people are leaving and that the television numbers show who is supporting it. A'ja Wilson is upset about Caitlin Clark's new contract, but why? The salary isn't the only consideration. It has to do with what that salary stands for. It's about feeling that the new kid on the block is overshadowing all of her accomplishments and hard work. It's about the worry that she might not be the indispensable celebrity she believed herself to be. The sporting equivalent of gentrification and white flight is the decline in NB playoff ratings following Caitlin Clark. When they are here, you detest it. You dislike having them around. God, oh God. Observe their actions. They're terrible. When they depart the Caitlin flight, that is. God, oh God, I am unable to. Now, what should we do? It's obvious that this is about more than one contract, and the tension is rising. This relates to how women's basketball is evolving. The new is perceived as a danger by the old guard. It also discusses the hard fact that in athletics, as in life, there is always someone younger and more hungry catching up to you. Caitlin Clark is beginning to challenge A'ja Wilson for this league's MVP award. But I apologize for exaggerating, but I'm not. She's beginning to press A'ja. This is where it gets crazy, though. Clark is doing more than just stealing the show. She is radically changing the way women's basketball fans interact with the sport. Why would a rookie be so strong that even MVPs are feeling the pinch? You may be surprised by the truth. To my surprise, Caitlin Clark has already shown herself to be a once-in-a-generation passer. That was unexpected at Iowa. Yes, she is the greatest scorer in collegiate basketball history, whether it be women's or men's, I thought. However, I am referring to bounce passing, which is a skill that LeBron possesses. I'm referring to proficient two-handed, full-court touchdown pass passing, similar to that of LeBron James, something I don't see in the WNBA. Let's examine how women's basketball is changing as a result of Clark's popularity. Perhaps you're asking yourself, is Clark really that important? The numbers, however, tell the truth. The biggest star in the WNBA is sweating over the picture they're creating. She is influencing her squad in a way that no other player in the league is. We are discussing a profound change in the women's basketball industry. Clark's influence extends beyond the court. It can be seen on TV, in the stands, and at retail establishments. This year, attendance at the WNBA has increased by a staggering 50%. And you know who's at the forefront? Yes, exactly. The number of fans turning out to support Clark's side, the Indiana Fever, has increased by 39%. However, immediately following Kelton Clark's elimination, we also taught a 50% decline. To put it mildly, the assessments differ between. The Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark are now out, had an average of 929,000 viewers for the Sunday Jewel Aces vs. Liberty game. Compared to the Fever Sun contest last Sunday, that was a decrease of about 50%. By the way, both attendance and viewership were declining. However, it doesn't end there. More quickly than you can say three-pointer Clark's jersey is flying off the racks. Not only is she at the top of the sales charts, Sabrina Ionescu and Angel Reese are being overshadowed by her. What would it be like to be A'ja Wilson at this moment? All of a sudden, this rookie starts selling you products even though you are the league's MVP and face. If she is not careful, there will be individuals who will tell her that she should make herself appear like a victim, just like these other people do. That, in my opinion, would be the worst thing that could happen to her. There are already too many victims in America. She doesn't need to put her name on that, in my opinion. Okay, but what impact is this having on the game itself, you ask? Hold on to your seats, because Clark's impact extends far beyond jersey sales and ticket sales. She is advocating for improved circumstances for all participants, such as the use of hired aircraft for transportation. Yes, exactly. The game isn't all she's doing. She is transforming the league as a whole. For the first time in their league's history, I witnessed them flying a hired aircraft. They flew private, you know. He deserves his own celebration for it. That should be celebrated from anyone involved in sports that are flown, you know, charter or commercial. And Caitlin Clark is to blame. Don't misunderstand. Don't make a mistake. The WNBA will experience many wonderful things because of Caitlin Clark. This is where things become complex, though. Others feel the heat as Clark stands up. Imagine this rookie taking center stage while A'ja Wilson looks on from the sidelines. What impact is Clark's fame having on Wilson's career? Sharing the limelight is no longer enough. It has to do with the possibility of losing your role as the spokesperson for women's basketball. Nike has a signature shoe and emblem for A'ja Wilson. Her shoe will not be purchased. Nobody is interested. However, Nike is going above and beyond to appease A'ja Wilson, Don Staley, and the entire BLM movement by allowing us to promote A'ja first.